Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope that you are doing so very well. Today I'm gonna show off some books. This is gonna be all the books that I got in January and February. I only bought 2 books in January, so I was like, I'll just combine it with my February haul. So let's look at some cool books. First up, we've got Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. I got this from Target, as you can see by the sticker. There was just a day where I was like, I need it, and so I went and got it. This cover is beautiful. It's so pretty. I kind of match it. Look at that. Passenger is a kind of historical fiction fantasy time travel novel. That's probably the best way I know to describe it. It follows a girl named Etta who is like swept up from her life into this world of time travel, and someone has captured her mom, so she has to go save her. And she also combines forces with this guy named Nicholas, who is from a different time period than her. There's adventure, there's romance, there's a little bit of everything. If you haven't heard about this book by now, I would be surprised because it's been everywhere on the booktubes. I actually did a review of this book already, so if you want to go check that out, you can go watch it and see all of my thoughts. And the last book I bought in January was Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. On the same day that I went and got Passenger, I tried to find Truth Witch, couldn't find it, so I ordered it on Amazon. Then as soon as it came in, I read this baby. It was amazing. This is a YA fantasy novel, and it's about 2 witches named Safiya and Isolde, and at the very beginning of this book they get into a little bit of trouble. Little do they know that there's a lot bigger things at play, that their little escapade kind of messes up. They just get thrust into this crazy adventure and they find out a lot of new things that they didn't know about their world. Sorry, that synopsis is extremely vague. I tried to go more specific. I thought about it. I was like, it's kind of spoilery. I think you should just read the book. It has a lot of great focus on female friendships and friendship in general. It's really great. Definitely read it. That was more of like a plug, but whatever, it's great, you should read it. Moving on to February, I received Salt of the Sea by Rita Sepidis from Penguin Random House for review, so thank you Penguin so much for sending me this. This is a World War II historical fiction young adult novel that takes place in 1945. You've got these 4 teenagers that are all caught up in the middle of this war. A lot of people are fleeing to the coast to get away from the Soviets, who are advancing and starting to take things back over from Germany, and it follows their journey through that and also their attempt to book passage on a ship that is Germany bound. That was a Hamilton reference. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the book. Let's take a moment to appreciate this cover. I also got a box from Owl Crate last month. If you haven't seen that video, you can click here and go watch it. It's probably my favorite box I've ever gotten from Owl Crate. Everything was amazing and I freaked out over literally everything. The 2 books that were in that box were The Love That Split the World by Emily Henry and The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. The Time Machine tells the story of a time traveler in Victorian era England, and I believe this is the book that popularized time travel in literature, so I'm super excited to read this. It's also beautiful. Look at the beauty. The beauty! And The Love That Split the World is about a girl named Natalie. She's always seen apparitions and seen things throughout her whole life, and then one of the apparitions that's been one of the more friendly ones that she has nicknamed Grandmother comes to her and starts telling her stories and saying, all the stories I told you were true, and then she tells her that there's a boy that she needs to save. So pretty sure there's gonna be some romance in here. I'm not 100% sure what this book is about, but I'm interested to read it. I've heard bad things, I've heard good things, so we'll see how it goes. But we can appreciate this cover because it's beautiful. Sunrise, sunset. And the last thing I have to show you is an order I placed with Book Outlet. I honestly don't remember what exactly the sale was for. It might have been President's Day, but there was just like a sale and it was fantastic and I was like, gotta buy the books. Also, if you didn't know, I keep forgetting to mention this, but I am a Book Outlet vlogger friend. So any of these next books from this Book Outlet portion that you see, you can go look at my page. I will link it down below. You can see all of these books and you can click on them to buy them or to add them to your wish list, and you can see every other book I've ever bought from Book Outlet and maybe buy it for yourself. Maybe you'll look through there and be like, oh yeah, like that one and that one. And then soon enough you'll be spending like $50 on books from Book Outlet. The first book I want to show you from Book Outlet is This Is What Happy Looks Like by Jennifer E. Smith. If you've watched my wrap up, you know I've already read this. I read this twice. I really loved it. This is about 2 teenagers that live on the opposite ends of the United States. Graham tries to email someone about taking care of his pet pig, and instead he types in Ellie's email address. So they carry on a correspondence for a few months. They don't know who the other person is, but then summer rolls around and Ellie is just living her life in her normal town, but there's gonna be a movie filming there this summer. Lo and behold, the guy she's been emailing this whole time was Graham Larkin, the star of this movie, and he wants to get to know her. That's what this book is about. There's a few other like deeper things that happen, but it's essentially a young adult contemporary and pretty typical of young adult contemporary, but I loved it so much. It's really great, guys. It's really great. Next up is Until Friday Night by Abby Glines. This is about two teenagers named West and Maggie. West has always been like the all-star, typical jock guy, but his dad has been dying from cancer for a year, and he feels like he really needs to talk to somebody about it, so he talks to Maggie about it, who a year ago witnessed her father murder her mother, and since then has not spoken. So he tells her his secrets because he's like, she doesn't talk, I will tell her things. But then she replies and tells him all about her pains and her problems. I would assume there's romance that happens there. But it sounds good. It sounds like a good contemporary. I would say light and fluffy, but I don't think it's gonna be very light and fluffy. I think there's gonna be some very serious content, so I hope it does it very well. I really hope it's good because the cover's pretty, so I really hope it's good. Next up is Anna and the French Kiss and Lola and the Boy Next Door, both by Stephanie Perkins. I have Isla and the Happily Ever After. I bought it right when it came out, but I didn't want to buy these because the covers were really ugly. I'm so shallow, but I borrowed them from the library and read them there and really enjoyed them. They're just great contemporaries. I think Lola is my favorite of the three companion novels. But I saw these on Book Outlet and I could not resist. I was like, these covers, they're so beautiful. Gotta get them. So I did. Anna and the French Kiss is about a girl who goes to a school in Paris. She meets a boy. Things happen. Yep. And Lola and the Boy Next Door is about a girl named Lola. Her old neighbors moved back into town right next door to them. She had some complicated feelings for the son in the past, but something happened and their relationships were all ruined. So now they moved back and she has to work through that. I really just love Lola a lot. That's my favorite of the three. I will probably reread this soon. Next up is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. This was a scratch and dent, so it was super duper cheap. It's also a movie cover, which I don't know how I feel about, but I've never actually read Ender's Game. I know there's a lot of bad feelings towards the author Orson Scott Card. A lot of his comments have just been very terrible, but I'm really interested in reading the book, and it was literally so cheap that I was like, okay, this is the time. I think this is a post-apocalyptic-ish novel, and it's about a boy who's been trained by the government to fight aliens who are attacking Earth. I think that's what it's about, yes. And I think the kid's a genius, something like that. It sounds like a really interesting world. Next up is Off the Page by Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer. I have the companion novel of this Between the Lines up here somewhere, but I had originally heard about this companion duology because this was the Booksplosion Book of the Month a couple months ago, and I never got it then. I was like, sounds really interesting. I would love to read it someday. Then I saw it on Book Outlet and I was like, all right, it's time. I'm pretty sure that in the first book, the main character, Delilah, goes into the pages of a book, or she like just reads a lot about this book. But in this book, the prince from the story that she's reading is wished into real life, and then there's just like complications because of that. And I'm pretty sure there is a vlog series that goes along with this book. There's a YouTube channel for sure. So I'm really interested to see that multimedia aspect of this. And even though I'm not 100% sure, I just know there's like fairy tales, real life princes, cool times. Next I've got I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I did not read this when it was super popular like a year ago on BookTube. I'm late in the game for this, but it's okay. This follows two twins through a few years of their life. The first half is told by one twin, the second half is told by another twin. In the first half, they're really close. Noah is super shy and Jude does all the talking for him and for her, but then 3 years later, when it's told from Jude's perspective, they're not talking, something's happened between them. And I know there is some LGBT representation in this book, I believe. I've heard that, so I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that that is there. I've heard a lot of rave reviews about this, so I'm trying to not make my expectations super, super high, but I am very excited to read this. This cover though, it's so beautiful. And the last book I have to show you is Best Love Fairy Tales by Hans Christian Andersen. There's also some illustrations in here, not as many as I was thinking, but there's some illustrations. I love original fairy tales because they're kind of all like anti-fairy tales, and I'm really excited to have this collection, and this cover is absolutely gorgeous. Those are all the books I have to show you. I hope that you enjoyed that. Let me know down below if you've read any of these, or if you want to read any of these and you just haven't yet, or any of your thoughts or feels about any of these books. Let me know all of that down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye. This is gonna be book. Keep getting stuff in my eye. Next up, hail. Words, yeah, so good.